Hey, what's up guys? So most of you watching this will know that you can't actually get any ARP head stud kits for the 4E engines. The ones I've got here are out of a Corolla. I'm going to show you today how you can install them. But firstly, before you go drilling holes in your block, you need to ask how much power you actually want to make. And the truth is, if you're looking at under 200 horsepower, 250 horsepower tops, the ARP head bolts that you can buy will be fine, along with the standard ones. But for the build I'm doing now, I'm hoping to push that well over the 400, maybe 450 mark. So this is when it's become a requirement that I need to get these studs in. So the head stud kit I'm using today is from the 4AGE Corolla. Now I've got the part numbers here, so you can simply jump on eBay or just go to the ARP site and just buy them direct from there. But even when you buy this kit, it's still not as simple as just unboxing it and putting it together. I'm going to show you how to do it. So in the kit you get 10 studs. 5 are the short ones which go on the intake side, and the other 5 go on the exhaust side. And the really short one you can see here goes underneath the cam gear under the rocker cover, or else if you use the normal height ones it'll hit. So when you compare these to a standard bolt, they're 1mm oversized, which means they're not going to screw straight into the factory block threads. This means you will also have to drill out the head holes as well, as the studs will fit in there, but they're very tight. Now what I recommend to do is go to any machine shop that has a decent drill press and just explain what you want to do, and they'll easily be able to do it on their bench. It's much better than trying to use a drill. So the standard hole size in the head is 10mm. We want to open that up to 10.5mm. Now I've got an old cylinder head here and I'm just doing this for a demonstration, but I've got my 10.5mm drill bit and some spray. I'm just going to drill through the head now and just show you the difference between the standard hole size and the oversized one. So here we've got the standard hole. You can see it goes in, but it's just a little bit tight. And then we've got the drilled out hole. There's just a little bit more room there. The head probably would go on without drilling out the holes, but it just makes life easy just to free things up a bit. So at this stage you can see that the head studs are in. We've had the block drilled and tapped so they fit. We've also drilled out the head holes so the head slides on nice. So that must mean that the head's ready to go on, right? Wrong. There's a bit more to go yet. When the cylinder head's removed, you'll notice there was 2 of these locators, and they pretty much locate the cylinder head so it sits in the right spot. We need to drill these out to 10mm, so the new head studs fit straight through and go into the new threads that are in the block. So now we can finally put the cylinder head on. Wrong. The next thing to overcome is these washers that came with the kit. Now the internal diameter is perfect, which fits straight over the new studs, but the external diameter is too large, and you'll notice with the standard washer it fits straight inside the chamfered part in the head. But if you try and use the new washers, they just flap on the top and they don't actually fit. So my only solution here was I had to jump online and order a new set of ARP washers that had the correct inside diameter and correct outside diameter. So you can just use that part number there. These will set you back about 15 Australian dollars or 10 USD. So the reason we couldn't bolt the head on just yet is when you try and install this cam with the studs there, the studs are actually too long and they come right through the cylinder head. So this one underneath here, I've already cut it down, but it used to sit up so far that it would hit that cam gear, meaning you can't bolt the cam down. So I'm going to show you now how short you need to cut that so it doesn't interfere. So here's another set of studs that I prepared earlier, so we'll put aside the long ones, and now we have the 5 short ones which sit on the intake. So the standard size here is about 108mm. Now we need to cut that down, but if you just cut it down to 100mm exactly, you'll be right on the money and there'll be plenty of clearance there. If the finished product stud is exactly 100mm, by the time you clamp the head down, there will be a little bit of stud poking up through the nut, so you don't need to stress that you've cut it too short. Because anything else sitting further than the nut is a waste. If you're going to use an angle grinder to cut through the stud, Make sure you do it slowly. You definitely don't want it to glow red. Just cut it slowly, even spray some CRC on there to keep it cool. That way you'll be sure not to damage the strength of the stud. So now we have the modified 100mm stud, it's time to put it in the block. So because there's no Allen key hole in the top anymore, we need to do this up just finger tight with a set of vice grips. The cut-off stud can stay tight for good now, we don't have to pull it off anymore. But as for the rest of these studs, it's a good idea just to leave them loose for now because it's easier to slip the head over first and then we can nip them up later. So this is the last problem we need to overcome before you can put the head on for good. So you can see here where the head bolts usually go through, there's a pretty tight gap in between the valve springs here where I put my finger. So the new washers will fit in okay, the studs will fit in okay, but then the problem is you can't get the nuts over or the socket over to do them up tight. So I'm going to go over to my cylinder head which I've modified, and you can see I've had to die grind a bit out so then the new nuts can actually fit over and do up tight. There's no exact measurement for this, you're just going to have to do it by eye and just be careful. You won't have to modify all of them though, just sit the head on there and see how much room you got. The socket and nut is either going to fit or it won't, so just keep grinding away the aluminium until it's a nice fit. When you sit the head on there and it fits on nice and the nuts and washers all fit on nice and the sockets work and you're happy with it, you need to make sure that you clean the head really well, give it a good degrease, give it a good blowout and make sure there's no aluminium bits and pieces left over. You don't want that dropping down into the sump and then going through the oil pump. So when you're at this stage, the head is ready to go back on for good. So we want to slide that over. Again, make sure those studs are still loose. And once the head slides over nice, like that, we can go around now and we can nip up those other studs. Again, just hand tight. And we can assemble the washers, put the nuts on and clamp it down. So just go around with your socket now and just hand tighten them all up, just to pull the head down flat. Then we'll go ahead and get our torque wrench and start doing them up. So according to the sheet that's come with the set, we need to do them up to 60 foot-pounds, so you want to do that in 3 equal steps. It's best just to start at 20 foot-pounds and just work your way up from there.
I have 20 subscribers.
So the head is now clamped down nice and tight. You can see here, there's the bolt there, the stud there we had to cut down. But there's enough clearance there that when I put this cam in, it's not going to hit. Bolt all your cam caps on properly and just double check this. You can put a feeler gauge underneath, just make sure there's about 1 millimeter of clearance between that gear and the top of the stud. And that's all I got for today. Thanks again for watching guys. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, throw a like on the bottom and leave a comment. Thanks, see you next time.